fall through. And as you say, reports suggesting that Conte pulling out of the deal, ruling himself out. I think we often see that from managers when it looks increasingly unlikely that they're going to land the job anyway. So Real Madrid now looking at alternatives. Santiago Solari, the interim coach, can only be in charge as a provisional interim manager for 2 weeks, which means that Real Madrid have to make a decision by the middle of the month, by mid-November, as to who they're going to appoint on a permanent basis. Reports in Spain seem to suggest that Solari is looking like he'll get the manager's contract until the end of the season, when Real Madrid might change tack and reassess and go after a bigger name. But as is the case at the moment, Mauricio Pochettino tied down to a 5-year deal at Tottenham. Roberto Martinez contract until the end of the European Championships in 2020 with Belgium. These managers aren't easy to prize away from their high-profile positions, and it'll cost Real Madrid a lot to do so.
English Premier League next, and let's talk Arsenal, who have been amazing, or have had an amazing run since defeats to Manchester City and Chelsea. What has Unai Emery been doing right to keep the team at this impressive level?
Well, they're a lot fitter, aren't they, Arsenal, to start with? They've got higher energy levels, which is helping them stay in matches. But one thing I've noticed with Arsenal that's been so impressive recently is that in years gone by, we've seen Arsenal give up leads, for example, and not been able to finish games off. When they go 1 or 2 goals up in matches at the moment, they're going for the second, third and fourth to really finish off games early. It was a trait that has gone so well for Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, Liverpool in the last 18 months or so, trying to win games in the first 45 minutes. And that's what we're seeing from Arsenal, a trend that they're beginning to pick up on. When it comes to this match against Liverpool this weekend, it will be very, very tough, I think, for Unai Emery. It's going to be a different kind of task, more like the games against Manchester City and Chelsea at the early part of the season, where we saw Arsenal's defensive frailties kind of come to the fore. The area where this game is going to be won or lost is going to be in Arsenal's fullback and central defensive areas, because the pace of Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino and Mo Salah in particular, of course, that is going to be in stark contrast to the kind of defensive capabilities of the likes of Stefan Lichtsteiner, Socrates Mustafi as well, Shkodran Mustafi at the back there for Arsenal. These are players who are relatively slow. They're more adept at defending in the penalty area in tighter situations. If Arsenal gets stretched here by Liverpool, it could turn quite ugly, because we know Arsenal's goal scoring pedigree with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Alexander Lacazette dovetailing so well at the top end of the pitch there, but they still are very, very unconvincing at the back. They're conceding goals, and I think they've been able to mask that by playing poorer opposition in recent weeks, but it could come back to bite them against Liverpool this weekend.
Crystal Palace seem to be discovering a bit of their old form in London derbies, especially after the 2-2 draw with Arsenal. Oozing with confidence, how much of a threat will Roy Hodgson's side be to the Sarri Ball at the Stamford Bridge?
I don't know. I think Chelsea will roll over Crystal Palace, to be perfectly honest. Palace really struggled to score goals. Their top scorer is Wilfried Zaha. He's only netted 3 times. As you mentioned, the 2-2 draw with Arsenal, but those were 2 goals from Luka Milivojevic, who is the second top scorer for Palace with 2 goals. So it really, scored in that match, last weekend. It goes to show how difficult goals are to come by for Palace at the moment. I expect Chelsea to probably dominate possession, as they do so often through the likes of Jorginho and N'Golo Kante. This is the kind of football that Sarri is imposing on this Chelsea side, possession-based, looking to, really kind of irk out all the energy from the opposition, chasing the ball and hitting them where it hurts. And I think that Crystal Palace, although they have, the wild card in Wilfried Zaha, who's a player who can change any game, I think that Chelsea will have too much for Roy Hodgson's side, to be perfectly honest.
Finally, which game should we keep an eye on, including Manchester United versus Bournemouth?
In the Premier League, well, I think one game in particular which I'm very, very intrigued by is Manchester United against Bournemouth. Bournemouth are a side who are keeping United out from the top 6 where they arguably should be. They're 3 points above them, are Bournemouth, having conceded, having kept 3 clean sheets and won 3 of the last 4. They're a very, very, very impressive side on the break, and whether United decide to rest Romelu Lukaku again, whether Jose Mourinho fields a more dynamic, pacey front 3, 2 sides essentially who will play on the break. Will be intriguing to see how that falls, how that kind of plays out that match. And then some games at the bottom end of the table as well. Newcastle, enduring their worst start for 120 years. They're playing Watford, who are in 7th, who, interestingly enough, Watford, the 7th place team with 19 points. 19 points is what Leicester City had in the 15-16 season when they won the league, and also the 13-14 season when Manchester City won the league. They both had 19 points after 10 games, and it goes to show quite how much the top teams are pulling away. The fact that points total only gets you 7th place was Watford are at the moment. So I think those games in particular, and then Huddersfield playing Fulham on Monday. Again, the other two teams in the relegation zone. If it's not too early to have a 6-pointer, this is certainly the one down at the bottom end of the table.
Yes, indeed. And so that's the preview of the matches this weekend, what should be looking forward to. And in keeping with the way Joy Sports works, once you've heard the preview on radio, you can follow the matches and the results, of course, on myjoyonline.com and in our subsequent bulletins. Please join us tomorrow on the Joy Sports Arena from 4 p.m. where we look back at the matches and look forward to some of the matches that will be played as well. As we go along, I'll be updating you on the scores that are relevant throughout the discussion so that you don't miss it. This is 99.7 and it's Joy FM. My name is Gary. I'll be sitting in for Nathaniel Atto. You might have been listening to Newsfile where, among other things, of course, they spoke about football. So we are taking the discussion forward. This is a football Newsfile, but this is the hardcore version. What I want us to do today is to look at the remedies open to Kwesi Nyantakyi from a legal point of view, one. Also to look at whether Ghana has lost something in Kwesi Nyantakyi's downfall. Or is it his personal loss alone? Is it our loss? If it is not our loss, how so? If it is our loss, how so? Can he be replaced by another Ghanaian there? What's the use of having a Ghanaian like Kwesi Nyantakyi as CAF vice president, as FIFA council member? And how do we get there? Because Ghana first, So Eko Asma is with me in studio, and as I've already introduced, I have Augustine Ahemfo. Eko, first of all, Kwesi Nyantakyi's demise, is it his own or Ghana's demise?
It's solely his. And I will buttress it with the following. During his tenure as the FA president, FIFA council member, CAF vice president, first vice president, and all that. In that space, he didn't show that he was patriotic, in the sense that he turned out to be rather a traitor in trading in the personal interest of himself and some of the ESCO members in Ghana's campaign for the Russia 2018 World Cup. I remember in the days leading to the first match, when Ghana had a competition in the form of Uganda. In
the
our
qualifier,
match,
yeah.
Yes, in the first qualifier. He presided over trading in their personal gain over the national interest. Choosing to play the qualifier on a Friday instead of a Sunday, giving Ghana's team Black Stars ample time to prepare for the opponent, Uganda, because of a personal gain in the form of a friendly against South Africa,
money. Yeah,
for which they got paid, the FA folk, that did not inure to the benefit of the country. How is this person working in the interest of the nation?
That's one example in 13 years of power. On the balance of it, you are building.
That's just the first one.
Okay.
How much time do we have on this subject?
No. Go on.
Okay. So that's not a patriot. That's not somebody who's working in the interest of the nation. So if such a person is at the helm, while he was there, he still worked against the interest of the state. How then is it Ghana's loss? How then is it a case that he was there serving the interest of Ghana, when indeed it was personal gain? Now, they traded in the national interest, shortchanged the Black Stars training, with only about a day or 2 days of training, and we couldn't get 3 points. We dropped 2 points.
Your point is,
in the end, how did that pan out? Did Ghana qualify for the World Cup? We couldn't.
That's one
point.
So
the personal gain over the national interest does not make him a patriot.
It
makes him a traitor.
That's one point.
That doesn't tell me that he was there in the interest, working in the interest of
But
Ghana.
the man was again.
Besides that, now let's go to the 13 years since we have time.
Sure.
During his tenure, how many places did, when he assumed power, how many places did Ghanaian clubs have on the continent, in continental competition?
4.
And then what happened?
By the time he left,
Yes.
we barely had.
Okay. What about the domestic game? What happened?
It
Did any
deteriorated
club
largely.
in Ghana achieve anything during his tenure? Nothing. Zero. The domestic league was driven underground during his presidency. He presided over the rot, even in judicial bodies of the FA. Look at the disgrace that Ghana has been meted out to Ghana, even in the International Court of Arbitration and Sport. All during his tenure. What did he do for Ghana over that time?
So it is not Ghana's loss.
It's his loss. It's his loss, and in some quarters, good riddance. Because not just him, because if you check the ESCO and the decisions they took, not just him, some of the decisions they took was only in the interest of the ESCO. So if you just talk about just him, then you are missing the point. He had a group of people who helped him drive Ghana football in the underground. And those remnants are still around.
Yeah.
So the harm he's caused will not end with his ouster. There's the possibility that it will continue.
There's a domino effect.
Yes, it's
Okay.
still there. So what needs to happen is the ground rules that will change and make sure some of those of his cohorts don't ever get the chance to go to the presidency to continue what he did.
Fantastic. Eko Asma has opened the show interestingly for us. Essentially, in one sentence, Eko believes that Kwesi Nyantakyi's negative legacy outweigh his positive legacy, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Now, and that is where I'd like you to also weigh in, listeners, because as we develop this discussion, I'll then ask, how do we get another Kwesi Nyantakyi in terms of at FIFA level, and how do we make sure that this person does things? Eko believes that Nyantakyi didn't do much to help Ghana with his position, but this next person we groom as a nation, or next batch of officials, do well. 0244340437 is our WhatsApp line. 1, do you believe Nyantakyi's loss is his personal loss, or Ghana has lost? Because I've heard on programs even this morning that people say that, well, if a Ghanaian is at CAF and FIFA level, our interest can be pushed. If you don't agree with Eko, please let me know as we develop this matter. Now, while getting ready for this program, I asked a couple of people who believe that it was Ghana's loss because they felt that, 1, Nyantakyi qualified us for 3 World Cups. Whether you like it or not, it was under his leadership, and the kind of exposure that Ghana got in those 3 World Cups is not something that you could use money to buy. So in that sense, Nyantakyi had done fantastically well, and that, on the balance of good versus bad, means that his legacy was good for Ghana. 2, they also point out that he got quite a number of Ghanaians, especially in the last 5 years, into key positions in CAF, in CAF especially. You saw an increase in the number of Ghanaians in the judicial bodies, and Eko and Augustine are both nodding in studio. George Free, Ibrahim Sanida, Justice Eni Yeboah being the biggest one,
Yep.
And there's an interesting comment that I don't know whether it's true, that he says that Charlie, these days his job in Ghana, if he's doing FIFA work, he doesn't want to come back to Ghana because one trip to do FIFA work can sort him out, for a year and all that. And so on that score, Nyantakyi's legacy has been more positive than negative. Some also point out that it was in his time that we won the under-20.
I think that's his biggest achievement.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate that during his era, they didn't trumpet that achievement.
A
That
lot.
is the biggest. They tend to forget the under-20, and they talk about the 3
World Cups
appearances.
Okay.
But the under-20 is the biggest. I think that's the biggest achievement that should be trumpeted by his administration.
Right. So these points are just to play the devil's advocate here, to counter what Eko is saying as being Kwesi Nyantakyi's negative influence, and that the loss that he has suffered is his own and nobody else's. I'd like to get your thoughts. 0244340437 on WhatsApp. But now, we know that Nyantakyi is in a bit of hot water. We know that his case went to FIFA. He got a lifetime ban. He's seeking remedies at the Court of Arbitration for Sport, which brings me to Selassie Adika, who is a sports lawyer, and he will give us an idea of the remedies that the former GFA boss can seek and whether he can reduce that lifetime ban that he's got. Thank you, Selassie, for joining us on the Joy Sports Link.
Hello, Gary, how are you doing?
Doing well, thank you very much. So, first of all, from a legal point of view, where do you situate Kwesi Nyantakyi's quest to get an appeal at the Court of Arbitration for Sport?
Sorry, Gary, I think I missed the first part of your sentence, if you can repeat that.
From a legal point of view, where do you situate Kwesi Nyantakyi's appeal at the Court of Arbitration for Sport? Is it grounded in FIFA law? Does FIFA law allow him to do that, one? And what can he do to get those reliefs?
Thank you for your question. At the risk of correcting my senior, I'm going to answer your question. But from my understanding and my experience working with these set of rules, which are the procedural rules of the FIFA, the FIFA Code of Ethics and the FIFA Disciplinary Rule, the procedure that is laid out in there for respondents such as Kwesi Nyantakyi requires that, what has been released into public domain is a preliminary statement of the terms of the decision, where after which you typically the last sentence of that release would include an instruction or an admonition that if the respondent wants to pursue their appellate rights, that they must request a full reasoned decision from the chamber within 10 days. Typically, they will receive it within 30 days. I don't know when the respondent in this case, which is the Honorable Kwesi Nyantakyi, was notified, but he's going to have 10 days from the date of notification to request a full decision, after which, once he gets a decision, he's going to have a time frame within which, he's going to have 3 days within which to notify the appeals committee of his intent to appeal the decision, after which he's going to have 7 days to actually file the actual appellate brief stating the points of law upon which he believes the decision was made in error.
Fantastic. So just to simplify what you have said, we are within a certain 10-day period if he got a decision somewhere last week where he has to reply and then he can get a permission from FIFA, right?
He has two options. He can, and obviously we know the option he's going to pursue because he has indicated that he's going to appeal. And I guess where the confusion is whether a direct appeal lies from the decision of the adjudicatory chamber of the FIFA Ethics Committee directly to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. And I think that's what I was attempting to clear up.
Okay, that's very good. Am I right in quoting Selassie the relevant portions of the FIFA statutes being the appeal where it says unless the court stipulates that the decisions of the adjudicatory chamber and the chairman of the adjudicatory chamber of the ethics committee may not be contested, an appeal may be lodged by the party concerned having a legally protected interest justifying amendment or cancellation of the decision. Is that the correct one?
Yes.
That's the correct one. Okay.
And I think you're reading from it's Article 80.
Article 80, yes.
Of the Code of Ethics, correct?
Yes, that is it.
81. And then if you continue, you read, I think it's 81.1. I think 84 and 81.1.
Yes, I can read that for you right now.
Okay.
84 of the FIFA statute says that further provisions relating to lodging an appeal and proceedings before the appeal committee are set out in the FIFA disciplinary code. Exactly. And decisions on costs are final and may not be appealed. So he can appeal the lifetime ban, but he cannot appeal the amount that he was fined.
And that's something, I don't know if you monitored my interview on one of the multimedia stations. I think it was
Asempa FM.
On Thursday night or Wednesday night, one of those nights.
Asempa FM, Sports Night.
That any fines that are imposed, any orders to pay money that are imposed by the adjudicatory chamber are not appealable. They are appealable, but they don't have suspensive. An appeal does not have a suspensive effect on an order to pay money. So basically, they are going to have either Kwesi Nyantakyi is going to have to pay it, or the GFA is going to have to pay it under the doctrine of joint liability, as stipulated in Article 15 of the FIFA statute.
Sure.
So so they are going to have to pay it, and then if he's able to get a reduction or a total order question, that's fine. Then it will be reversed. But until then, an appeal is not going to have the substantive effect or the effect of staying the order to pay the money within the time stipulated.
Right. Now, to 81, Article 81, which is headlined Court of Arbitration for Sport, the FIFA statutes say, and I read, decisions taken by the appeal committee are final, subject to appeals lodged with the Court of Arbitration for Sport in accordance with the relevant provisions of the FIFA statutes. What does that mean?
All it means is after he perfects his appeal before the Court of the FIFA appeal committee, and they give him a they give him a hearing, they listen to his arguments, and they make a ruling, and he's still not satisfied. Then he can appeal the decision from the FIFA appeals committee to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. It is important to note that procedurally, a couple of things are going to, there are a couple of distinctions in appealing directly to the FIFA appeals committee versus appealing to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. And an appeal before the FIFA appeals committee will be based on an error in law, and that the adjudicatory chamber perhaps misapplied the law in some regard or violated some legal principle, perhaps, for example, the right to be heard, or there was a challenge to the submission of some type of evidence that he thinks that under and these proceedings are the overarching law that governs all of this is going to be European civil law, which is a little different from our law when it comes to issues of evidence, and so those are the issues that he may raise before the FIFA appeal committee, and if he raises those legal issues and he's not satisfied, then he can now raise the same legal issues or any errors that he saw that he feels that the FIFA appeals committee has made. He'll raise those issues, and then that will now go to CAS. The interesting thing about going to CAS is that the CAS has jurisdiction to hear the case anew. So basically what will be happening is a repeat of everything that went on at the before the adjudicatory chamber of the FIFA Ethics Committee. So I think that is what he is gearing for when he says directly that he's going to CAS. I would surmise that he's saying he's going to get a new trial.
I see. Very interesting education there for us. And so, if you were his lawyer.
Hello.
Yes, can you hear me, Selassie?
Hello.
I can hear you, Selassie. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Oh. We'll try and get him, but we've dealt with the major part.
Hello.
What I would have liked to ask Selassie is that. So.
Hello.
I think he's not hearing us. What I would have liked to ask him, based on what legal remedies should Kwesi Nyantakyi seek as well. Selassie, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
Okay. What legal remedies, if you were his lawyer, would you have sought?
As far as before the investigative chamber?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, the adjudicatory chamber.
Adjudicatory.
Oh, no, typically in these type of proceedings, you fight the charges. That is your legal remedy. You fight the charges. And that's basically it. You fight the charges, and if you're not successful, you argue certain factors in mitigation of whatever sanctions may be imposed. So it's a little different, from a civil court perhaps, where the lawyer has the opportunity to ask for a plethora, can choose from a plethora of legal remedies.
Yeah.
This is purely more like a criminal proceeding where you're charged with violating a particular article of a particular regulation, and the burden of proof rests solely on those who are accusing you. So the onus is on the accuser to substantiate their claim, and so I don't think this would be the situation that this set of circumstances present a fact where a lawyer would be asking for a specific type of remedy. Absolutely, if I were his counsel, I would be arguing for a reduction in the sentence.
You won't. You will. You will be arguing for a reduction in sentence.
Pardon me?
You will be arguing for a reduction in sentence.
The line is really horrible.
Can you hear me? Yes, I'm saying you will be arguing for a reduction in sentence.
Hello?
All right. Something is bothering the line, but I think Echo has been excellent for us. He's explained the legal situation for us. So, Echo, I think we are well educated.
Yep.
We know what Kwesi Nyantakyi can do. Essentially, he can only appeal the lifetime ban. As for the money he will pay.
That would be great. At least he has the option of appealing the sanction. So you could get a reduction in the time.
But what that means is that, let's just say he's successful in appealing the lifetime ban. He might get something like what, Blatter and Platini got, 6 to 8 years. And then that means he might come back to football. Do you think coming back to football will mean that he could rise again to that level? Is it possible?
So, assuming that he will appeal against the
lifetime ban
to the same organization that doesn't want to see him, what are the chances that they would grant him such appeal, such remedies?
Yeah,
the very organization that doesn't want to see him again. Don't forget, he also poses a threat
to FIFA now,
to the hierarchy. So if they've seen the back of him, you think they want him to come back. You see, don't forget the voting is around the corner. Even Infantino's grounds are not that solid. Now that in their estimation, he's gone to the opposite camp, would they want him to come back stronger to pose a threat to them? Because you see, when it comes to elections, Kwesi Nyantakyi is a force. That's his expertise.
He's a tour de force.
Never lost any election. He's a force. Don't forget that he was with the Hayatu. He was not even in the camp of Infantino. Let's remember all that.
Yeah,
he was not. They will remember all of these. So if there's an opportunity to get rid of him, they won't give him another opportunity to come back. I mean, you can link it so many ways there, and the voting blocks they're all there. So he will remember that, once upon a time, he wasn't even with my block, but he needed him. So he had to play ball. Once Infantino won, he still needed the Africa block.
And he knew Kwesi was a key person in Africa.
Yes, so he still needed to mend fences with him. But now that he's gone, you think it's likely they're going to give him a chance back? These are some of the thoughts I'm thinking. I'm thinking that they don't want to see him back.
And sometimes I've thought about, Augustine, I'll bring you in.
No problem.
When somebody is given a ban like this and he can come back, sometimes I've thought about it. So if Sepp Blatter comes back, how will FIFA deal with him? How will UEFA deal with him? Because you've given him a ban for a period. He will have a lot of, quote-unquote, hatred and anger at the system. After 8 years when he comes back into football, how do you stop him from rising again?
I don't think they themselves are thinking of coming back. It is only that the ban or the length of whatever is giving them.
Because Kwesi said in a statement that he wants to clear his name.
Of course.
Yes.
But to come back to football, I don't think personally they want to come in.
Yeah.
They just want to clear their name.
No,
Looking at it, a live ban. What is a live ban? Like I did ask Israel on air, what is a live ban? What are the details in a live ban? So...
you can't get to any administrative or sporting when it comes to football.
Yes.
You can see.
I can't go to the stadium to watch football.
All football activities.
So it should be spelled out as an individual.
But that's not what the remedy that Kwesi Nyantakyi.
Yes, but that's
that's
an opportunity to watch football. That's not what he will be looking at.
When we look at wanting to have an appeal, you also think about the decisions that will come thereafter. I think if he decides to go to the appeal, like what we did here, the lawyer said, it's a Herculean task ahead of him.
Yeah,
it's not an easy thing to just say that I'm going for it, because even if you should go on appeal and the sanctions are reduced, can't FIFA also go to CAS?
For an appeal, I'm sure there can be some remedies. So
we should all embrace this thing and hope that it's gotten to a point we have to move on.
All right. So that is where I like us to do, to move on into the discussion. I asked for text messages from listeners, and I've gotten some of them. These text messages will lead me into the next stage of the discussion. Augustine, I did ask Eko Asma if you think this loss is Nyantakyi's loss alone or for Ghana. I'll come to you for it. Let me get to the thoughts of some of our listeners. Kwesi's exit is an excellent riddance, says Josh. who sends us a WhatsApp message. He said, number 12 proved that he lived for himself and that Ghana deserves better. All right. So this one says, Gary, good afternoon. And this is from Papate in Koforidua. He says, how does Nyantichi's laws become Ghana's laws? Nyantichi does not represent the Ghanaian ideals in totality. His ban will affect him alone and sends a huge signal to people to be circumspect in their dealings when given a position to serve the country within and outside. After all, we still have ambassadors of Ghana like Tony Bafo in the football circle who are making the country proud around the globe. I will come to that. Names like Tony Bafo and how far they can go. FIFA will not use Kwesi Nyantichi's misconduct to remove other compatriots from key positions. In that regard, Nyantichi goes down and suffers alone. That is from Papate in Koforidua as well. This one is from Francis Abota Se in Pone, Tema. Says that aside from all the authoritarian and corrupt practices that etched Nyantichi's reign, I think typical of most Ghanaians, they help you to fly and then begin to wonder why you are in the sky so high. Let me repeat that. He says they help you to fly and then begin to wonder why you are in the sky so high until that idiosyncratic proclivity, is nipped in the bud. Whoever that succeeds, Kwesi, will suffer that challenge. And so he says, until that idiosyncratic proclivity is nipped in the bud, whoever that succeeds, Nyantichi, will suffer that challenge. In layman's terms, we are saying that unless that hypocrisy is stopped, whoever succeeds Nyantichi will suffer the same fate. So those are some stuff we are getting as well. This one is from the US and it's from Opoku Buachi from Connecticut. He says that I've come to realize that anytime a black man goes down, you would see some people happy. Let's support our own regardless of his or her personal traits. May God help Kwesi to get out of this mess. And we'll talk about that as well. Is it in our interest as Ghanaians to say that because he's one of us, if he has done something that we agree is good or bad, because he's one of our own, we should support him? We'll come to that. But Augustine, is it his loss or Ghana's loss?
I think if you have to strike the percentage-wise, their loss is about 90% and 10% to Ghanaians.
I see.
Yeah, because it was good that we had our own there to promote the name Ghana.
Sure.
But whatever happened was brought upon themselves. If I say upon, it means that those who were in administration concerning football in this country.
Sure.
So the biggest chunk of this percentage will have to go to them.
Mm.
I felt, and I'll continuously say, that they sat for this thing to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to take anybody out of it. All of them. At the point in time that they were giving administration to football in this country. And I wouldn't take anybody out. I hear journalists and others, cohorts of others, want to mention names on air. But all those people that you keep mentioning were all included.
Sure.
You cannot tell me that, Gary, I'm with you in an institution or we are on board, and then I will sit or you will sit for me to do certain things, and then in the end, when this thing happened, we say it's Augustine's fault. No, we should all be culpable for what has happened. And so I will always say, and I will maintain. Yesterday I was with a call. Unfortunately, we are here today again. I showed him something on Ghana Web, and this is from a respectable person in society saying that he did that to himself because he should have left when the
applause was loud. As I remember that. I've seen that story.
If you knew that, couldn't you have taken it upon yourself to speak to him, to do the right thing by stepping aside? And I wonder when I read messages like you just read, that when a black man is down, then we are happy. I don't take glory in what have happened to Mr. Nyantichi. Because if he was directly my blood brother, how would me, Augustine, have felt? So I don't take delight in what has happened. But why did we get to where we've got into?
Yeah.
Because we allowed this thing to happen to us. We allowed it. We saw it coming. We did not stop it. We made people feel that they were invincible. And so everything that you had to say or want to do, you were tagged as somebody who disliked people in places and did not want their progress and all that. But at the end of the day, you come back to ask me, is it our loss?
Yeah.
how can that be all of us are lost? No, they have lost.
That question is to the extent, a recent example. Kofi Annan passed. That is our loss.
Yes.
You understand? That is the context in which I was asking that question.
No, that's a blasphemy.
No, Ego, I'm just situating my question. You understand?
Because the man was the General Secretary UN for 2 terms. He was the president of the world.
Distinguished himself.
And he did not
now bring disgrace.
anything untoward.
Yeah.
You understand? Even when what happened in Rwanda happened, at a point in time he came to say that, look, this was the lower point
of his reign.
My reign at the place. And so we cannot situate that. If Kofi Annan passes, it's Ghana's loss. We did lose our previous president. It was our loss because our father was gone.
Sure.
In this case, this is an individual who had risen through the ranks of being the GACA vice chairman, subsequently GFA vice, and then the president of the FA. And he was going up, and we were happy for him. We were pushing him. And probably forgot that it was the support, the prayers of all of us that put him there. And so when people made comments, how he responded back to people were not the best that people liked. And so immediately there were enemies that he had. And I always know that people that were so close to him before then became like...
they started going away from him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you ask yourself that, where is he standing? What are the issues? Why is this thing happening? Keeps happening. People are with him, they fall off. And then he's there. And then they are with you, they fall off.
And then he makes new friends.
And then he makes me... So we were happy. Those who were enjoying were happy being there because they didn't want to fall victim to what had happened to others.
Okay. Yes. So my two panelists believe that Nyantichi's loss is his alone. Some of you on the WhatsApp line do not think so. Let me read 2 more messages and then I go to the next part of this same discussion as well here on the Joy Sports link. Kofi Entry watching live. Oh, are we streaming? Oh, I think we are streaming. That's why he says he's watching live. Hey, hello to all of you on Facebook. I didn't know we're streaming. FIFA should ban Nyantichi, his vice president, and Ibrahim Sanidara because all of them are birds of the same feathers. And that's Kofi Entry watching live from Washington, D.C. So you can watch on facebook.com/joy 99.7. We are streaming live together with Augustine Ahemfo and Eko Asma. Last comment before we move on quick. Gary, I think Nyantichi's loss is a big loss to the entire nation, though I feel he caused it to himself. I think you want to say on himself. The big question is, when will a Ghanaian rise to the level that Kwesi has gotten to? Mohammed Abdul Fattah from Sukura. Thank you, Mohammed, for doing my job for me, introducing the next part. What would it take, guys, for us to get another Kwesi Nyantichi? And by that, I mean somebody who will rise to where he got to or be as influential. And this time, because the two of you think he didn't do a lot of work for Ghana, this person should do a lot of work for Ghana. How do we?
I haven't said he did not do well for Ghana. I think
you said it's not Ghana's loss.
I said if we have to strike the percentage,
yes,
90% will be for them and 10% ours because he's a Ghanaian.
But 90%, I guess. I guess it's 90%.
Yeah, because like you did say, how is somebody going to rise through to get where he got to?
Yeah,
I don't think that he just got up and he moved there.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
He got support.
It was process. He had support from all of us. Support from the people that he worked immediately with. So, it is all our help that got him there.
Just to chip in, Augustine, let's not forget, Abedi Pele would have been where Nyantichi is. Remember? The president, President Atamelos, was actually nominated Kwesi Nyantichi. Within 15 minutes, and this is one of the most mind-boggling stories that I've heard, and this I know is true. There was a meet, and that's how powerful Kwesi Nyantichi was. He went to see the president. Within 15 minutes, that decision was overturned. The whole president of Ghana drove to Pram Pram, where the declaration was supposed to be made, and it was changed from Abedi Pele to Kwesi Nyantichi. For our rep? Yes, for our rep.
On CAF?
Yes, when he first had to... Remember that story?
That's the fact.
That is a fact.
It's the first time
because I've heard other accounts.
What's the account for the purpose of
Well, I can't substantiate it, so I can't put it on air.
No problem.
Yeah.
But basically, the point you are making, Augustine, is that he had support from us.
Of course, all of
Yeah,
us. We
yeah.
prayed for him. But Tony is there.
Yeah.
Tony is Deputy General Secretary of CAF.
Mm.
So if you say when is a Ghanaian going to rise to it, there is a Ghanaian already there.
Yep.
So we all have to hope that he is not going to let power get to him. You understand?
Mm.
But you see, he's a product of a different environment.
Yeah.
Kwesi Nyantakyi is a product of Ghana. Tony Bafo is a Ghanaian, but he's not a product of the Ghanaian
The
environment.
system.
Yes.
You understand?
He's from Ghana, but he's not of Ghana.
He's not a product of the Ghanaian environment.
Sure.
Kwesi Nyantakyi is a product of Ghanaian
Environment.
environment.
Yes.
For instance, if Kwesi Nyantakyi were German, what happened to him would never have happened to him. I guarantee you.
Why do you say
Guarantee you.
so?
Because he's not only is he a culprit, but he's also the victim.
Yeah.
He's a victim of his environment. And I'll tell you why. Because people in positions of power who could have checked him, looked the other way, used him as a pawn, and let him go and fall in the pit. This is a pitfall. While there are cases we can point to as the windfall turned into a pitfall. You understand?
Yes.
There were people in positions of power that could have checked Kwesi Nyantakyi, looked the other way, used him as a pawn, and now they're still around.
Yeah.
Yet while he's gone. And I'm talking about the period between the past two administrations, the previous administration and this current administration, referring to the white paper directives.
Yeah.
There were certain remedies open to the state that the state could have taken that would have checked the excesses of Kwesi Nyantakyi.
That's true.
And the state
I agree.
reneged on its responsibility.
I agree.
And if those steps had been taken between the past administration and this current administration, I guarantee you Kwesi Nyantakyi would still be in power, in spite of all his imperfections.
In other words, you are saying that in the NDC government,
Yes.
when the white paper came,
Yeah.
they could have checked his rise and some of the subsequent decisions he took on the executive committee to arrogate power to himself if we had implemented the
White paper.
recommendations of the white paper.
Yeah.
Meaning that he would have still been in power,
He will still be in
Yeah,
power.
yeah.
Not check his rise, but check his excesses.
his excesses.
Yes.
And then this government as well.
Yes, remember
At least-
earlier this year,
Yes.
our brother Songo asked the president Nanado if he were interested,
Interested.
not even committed, interested. The president couldn't say yes.
No, he said he had forgotten about
No, he
it.
couldn't even say yes. And that's a big statement.
They had not looked at
That's
it.
a no.
Yeah.
And said that he had even forgotten it. That's even worse.
Yeah.
Such an important document.
Yeah.
Really? So between the two big shots,
governments, yeah.
yes, the state reneged on its responsibility towards its citizen, Kwesi Nyantakyi, in checking the excesses,
Yeah.
because he will still be in power to this day. And the excess, and the latest reference I want to make to is the removal of George Afriyie from the position of the vice president of the FA.
That's
We
true.
wouldn't have the situation we are in now. We would not have a normalization committee. We would not have the threat of FIFA to ban Ghana. All that would never have happened.
Sure.
Because the vice would have occupied.
And,
Yeah.
and that would have protected Kwesi Nyantakyi. He would not have been in the position where he would have to go look for sponsorship for the league, and then his flaws would come to the fore. He would not have been in that position. That would have been George Afriyie looking for sponsorship. In any case, the FA has a marketing and sponsorship committee. So what business did he have looking for sponsorship?
Going up there too. Yeah.
You see what I mean? So the elders of the land
Mpenyinfo no ofie no.
look the other way. They compromised. They used him as a pawn, and now he alone is suffering.
Yeah.
So it's possible. You're talking about how can we get one in future and not suffer such fate. The role of the state is also important.
Yeah.
It's very
The
important.
state must do its job.
It must do its job.
Yeah.
And
Laws must work.
Make sure that if somebody is rising, even if it's your brother, and he's rising and has such inclination for self-destruction, that you help him by checking the excesses. And not look the other way and just leave it as a football person. And then he falls in the ditch. No.
You know, and to argue it another way, I mean, from a very philosophical, sociological, or whatever angle, Maslow's theory of needs. Once your belly is full, you look for the next thing. When you go up there, it comes to self-actualization. So it's a natural thing.
Yes,
that
our interest.
Yes, when your basic needs are
everything.
Yes, when your basic needs are met, you start looking for. That's why we say first world problems. When you go to the white man's country, they'll tell you that Wi-Fi is their latest problem. Look, go to Asing Koko. I mean Wi-Fi. You think Wi-Fi is important? In the same way, once Kwesi Nyantakyi had gotten a certain level of power, it was up to us as the government, that is you and me, to ensure that the natural
I don't think the government is you and me. I
no, when I say government,
because I'm talking about power. The power rests with the executive.
Echo, hold on to what I'm saying. I understand what you mean. State and government, they are two different things. So the government is whether it's NDC or MPP. The state is you and me. Let me put it that way.
But the power rests with the executive.
Fine.
So the executive should have taken the action.
All I'm saying is that
you can't
all of us.
Listen. Yeah. The sweat of the masses is used to finance the
oil, the wheels of the national teams. Yes.
From which the FA hierarchy benefit.
Sure. Without
any recourse to the original
source of
the
wealth or the power or whatever.
Yes. And what we get is the local league, the domestic product, and they run it down. So the part of about you and me doesn't come in. We don't benefit in any way, and we don't have the power to take the decision. So the executive
to have the Ghanaian up there.
The executive is incumbent upon the executive to be responsible on our behalf. Make sure that they're checking the excesses of whoever. But in our part of the world, it's become the norm to promote family members, friends and cronies, even at the state level. So how are you going to check the FA president who is doing the same?
Yeah.
At the state level, that's all we do is we put our family members in positions of power, friends and cronies. So if the FA is doing the same, how are you going to check it? So it starts with the state.
Gary, I ask this question all the time. Why was the commission set up?
The JAMFA?
Yes.
It was to look inside the Brazil 20.
Yes, like Eko is saying, after whatever they had been able to issue a white paper. So if you set up that commission to unravel certain things within the administration of football in the country, and then a white paper is issued, the government then, what did they do? I hear there was an appeal when the white paper came out. Did they follow it through?
The JAMFA Commission actually passed portions of it are in court, as you know.
Portions, yes. Just a few.
Which is why some people say that it cannot be used to criminal.
So if indeed we wanted to do the right thing, the government then should have followed it through.
And then what about this current administration?
That's what the question is. It's not just one government. It's everybody.
This government took over and probably forgot about it.
So you said probably.
That is what I was saying because I'm not sure.
You forgot. Yes. There's no probability about it.
Because if the previous administration were doing something in court, which was ongoing, the others would have come in to continue that process. But probably because they did not do it then, this government also came in and also stopped there. And I'm asking the question: why did we set up that commission? To waste our years and see people on television and all that.
But it's interesting. That commission's report, the two successive governments have not found use for it. However, very conveniently, when FIFA asked for additional information, it was given to them. Yeah. And listeners, I mean, I'm sure you would agree with me, Eko, Augustine. If that document, the JAMFA Commission's, the government through Mr. Godfrey Dame, the Deputy Attorney General, sent portions of the JAMFA Commission, specifically 9 points where Mr. Nyantakyi was alleged to have been involved in impropriety of sorts, most of them financial, to FIFA, which helped to give him the lifetime ban. If those,
some of which I believe he's contested in court.
Yes, and that is why some people say that because you cannot prove, for example, that he chopped 3.5 million or he misappropriated 421,000 or whatever some of the commission's report says.
But even the 3.5 million, I think I can break it down. FIFA gave all the countries that qualify for the 32 countries, 1.5 million to prepare for the Brazil 2014 World Cup. Then on top of that, the hierarchy at the GMPC at the time decided to give Kwesi Nyantakyi $2 million cash. That's the breakdown of the 3.5. Then what was the point in giving him $2 million cash when he had already been given $1.5 million for the FA had been given $1.5 million for the same purpose? So how is it his fault? Isn't that the fault of the state?
Before we digress, the larger point is that some of the things that that's this current government gave to FIFA, because on the request of FIFA, FIFA wrote a letter to the government on the 31st of August, requesting specific information to help them in, arriving at this decision. If they hadn't given FIFA these things,
just to save Ghana the ban.
Just to save Ghana the ban, Nyantakyi wouldn't have gotten a life ban.
They would have, probably.
Most likely.
Yes, most likely.
Most likely wouldn't have gotten a live ban. So in that sense, fine, the government did well. But it is instructive that our president said that he had forgotten about the Jamefel Commission report. However, very conveniently, when it came to a point that Kwesi Nyantakyi had mentioned in a video that, I know the president and I know, and this, they found it right to be able to give.
I think after he had said that,
yes,
the backlash that came from the public gave them this thing to look for the documentation itself. And so when FIFA asked for it, they gave it. Because the backlash.
That's what the court is saying, that you see, if we all decide to check people's excesses from the beginning.
Yeah, but that is what we have to do, Gary. He stated that not because he's your brother, you look the other way and allow him to proceed. And that it's been our attitude for yes. So I believe that you don't have to look.
You mentioned convenience. For the past 4 years, I've been absent for a little bit, but I got back 4 years ago, and I remember our president now, Nana Addo, was being the opposition leader.
Yeah.
And he kept talking about the rule of law.
Yeah.
And I'm totally convinced that is the only thing that can save Ghana. Rule of law. So I paid attention once I heard him talking about the rule of law. And I proceeded to be able to match his speech with his deed. So you say rule of law. So I want to see the deed. Does it match? Can we take you serious? And he won on that. And he's come and he still reinforced that message, rule of law. So now let's see, where's the commitment to the rule of law and where's the convenience?
Let me make a quick intervention here. I don't know if he wants me to mention his name. A lawyer has just sent me a reminder, and just in case I didn't mention it, apologies. But he says you can't use the report of a commission of inquiry as basis for a criminal prosecution. And I remember that from the Jamefel Commission report, that it was an inquisitorial and not an adversarial document, which means that it had powers of a high court, but he couldn't use it to and all that.
Yeah, but the white paper directive is not all about Kwesi Nyantakyi. It was about sports.
It was the entire system. That's true.
So as I was saying, is the current administration committed to the rule of law as it states, or is just using it conveniently? Don't forget, as we speak right now, there hasn't been a follow-up on the Kwesi Nyantakyi issue legally here in Ghana. Besides that, earlier this year, before our brother announced the Anas expose, there was a worse occurrence of great disgrace. I'm talking about the visa racketeering at the Commonwealth Games. To this day, the state has not provided any transparency regarding the report. So is the state committed to the rule of law?
There's some work being done on that one. If the state thinks that we have forgotten about the Australia visa scandal, they have some. You wait.
And the part about you talking about you and me is the work of the media.
Yes.
The media have to stand up and fight for all of us for a better tomorrow for Ghana. The
president says we should be citizens and not spectators. Don't worry.
Well, even that statement was plagiarized. It's not original.
Yes.
It's important because we're talking about integrity issues.
But you see,
it's important.
I don't want us to digress.
You know why I'm saying
I don't want us to digress.
Because if it was plagiarized, then it means that it was not original. It was not even.
But Echo. I don't want us to go there. But if you go and make a statement,
but you say if the president said, it's important to put it into context.
Okay. So, but I wouldn't know who the first person made. Who made that?
Yeah, but it's important to note that it was plagiarized speech.
Echo. If you make a statement that God is love, and probably God is love is in the Bible. For example,
it's a bad example.
Okay. For example, if you say Augustine Ahemfo's head is big, for example. And I quote you. Echo, focus. And I quote you and I say, Echo, as Echo said, Augustine's head is big. Maybe you heard somebody.
No, that's a claim. This is still a very bad example.
It's a fact.
No, but it's still a bad example.
Okay, let me say the sun rises in the east.
But I'm saying it's important because.
So the president plagiarized.
People in public high office must be scrutinized big time and subjected to the highest
Possible
form of standards.
Echo, thank you very much. Let's not digress.
Talking about
you, if I allow you,
honesty.
okay. Echo, a couple of messages as we go on into this discussion now. We've spoken about the remedies Kwesi Nyantakyi can seek. We spoke to Selassie Adika, who basically told us that he cannot appeal the amount involved, the 500,000 Swiss francs or the $497,000. That one, no matter what, he will pay, right? And
He will have to pay or he will pay.
oh, he will.
The federation will have to pay on his behalf if he doesn't pay.
But what we know
We'll
is
go
that
into the technicalities later.
yeah, the technicalities later. But whatever it is, I do know from a couple of FIFA checks that Kwesi Nyantakyi has some money that FIFA is supposed to give to him.
As a
Deduct
member,
as
And I
as a
yes,
council member.
yes, and I know, and I've also been told by a couple of FIFA sources that typically when a fine is being given, FIFA will give you a fine that they know you can pay.
Okay.
That they are sure that they can get. So it means then
Doesn't
that
become an issue.
the other part of this interesting the ruling that is interesting is that Kwesi Nyantakyi has about $500,000 at FIFA. That is what the ruling means, because they won't give him that fine if they know that he can't
Pay.
He can't pay. So his entitlement, because again for the purposes of public information,
So they are virtually not going to pay him anything.
yes, or maybe because we don't know how much he has, we can't say they don't pay him anything. Maybe he has $1 million there, for which reason if he pays 497,000, he
will
might
still
have
remit
change.
him the rest.
Yes, the thing is that at FIFA level, per where Kwesi Nyantakyi is, I'm told, and Nyantakyi said this himself, if you remember, Eko Asma, he said that he makes about $200,000 per year, and this is on record. He said it
As a council member.
as a council member. So, I mean, he has some serious money there. For those who have been asking how he will pay, FIFA will take it out of whatever entitlement they have to give him. Also, note that when you become a FIFA council member, and indeed in certain FIFA positions, whether you finish the tenure or not, you'll be given the money.
But Gary, how many years was he a council member?
that's what he's stressing.
That's
Whether
what I'm
you
saying.
finish
Whether
it or
you
not.
finish the tenure or not,
You are still going to have the
yes,
5 years.
for the duration of the year. That's how FIFA is. That is why people are angry that FIFA
you
is
have
such a den of.
If you have issues,
Boss,
still
once
be
you
given-
are in there, FIFA has structured the system such that
Okay.
you can be able to
So
redeem
now
your
that
money.
someone has replaced him, he will still.
The next person will also start a certain tenure and get that money.
Okay.
And that's why FIFA is a
It's
lucrative
part of the
place.
reason the fine is huge.
It's huge, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So he was given the FIFA council tenure for a certain
But
number.
I'm happy that even if he's going to pay, he still have something left.
That one we don't
we don't
know.
know.
Yeah.
We don't know. But all I want to point out is that the GFA here would not have to pay. He can pay it himself. Comments are coming in. Nathan Gaduga sent comment to Eko Asma. He says, Gary, tell Eko that there was a time in Ghana football when nothing mattered more than a FIFA qualification to the World Cup. There was a time in football when the Black Stars was a piece of rag, which had no sponsorship and got kicked out in the Nations Cup qualifier by Rwanda. Some of us remember those days as well. Nyantakyi concentrated his efforts at developing the Black Stars to the detriment of the local league. But for anyone to suggest that his appointment was a blot on Ghana football, I think it's a bit harsh. That's a message to you.
Well,
from-
I think he got something wrong, because it was not because of him Ghana qualified for the World Cup. It was because of the vision of President Kufuor. Don't forget that money. Did you read the white paper? Look, I read a lot about the white paper.
Of course, I read
We
it.
know how we qualified. It's all in there.
Yeah.
Remember last time we didn't
payments
qualify.
to-
Remember last time we didn't qualify. ESCO member Oseko Kupama said we didn't qualify because we didn't pay
referees and stuff, yeah.
and it's stated in the white paper directives and then the commission's
That for
report
2006,
that
we made payments
We paid our way through.
to the
So
World
it's
Cup.
not because of Kwesi Nyantakyi we qualified.
Oh, but-
it's there.
but
It's
you-
there in black and white.
But you two,
No,
why are you like
I'm
that?
giving you- I'm putting
Why
it
are
in
you like
context.
that?
Don't leave anything out.
The
It's
small
not-
glory the man wants to
Oh,
take
no,
to you.
no,
want to
no,
take
no.
away
I
from
don't
you.
regard.
Oh,
No,
Eko, don't do that.
I think
Eko,
the
don't
one.
do that.
No, wait.
Eko, don't
I
do
think
that.
the one thing we should all do
Yes.
in giving him praise is to praise
Situate
him
it
for the
properly.
under 20 World Cup. He's a World Cup winner.
But how do you know
That
we
is
didn't pay
huge.
our way to
No,
the
but
World
it's not a
Cup
fact.
trophy as well?
There's nothing to prove.
Okay,
Under 20,
all
he
right.
can't pay.
There's nothing to prove.
So we can prove that we paid our way to certain World Cup qualifications.
It's on paper.
It's on paper,
In
yeah.
black and white. So if we are going to talk about it, we have to give it the proper perspective. We are trying to educate the youth, not misinform them. Right?
Yes, right.
Thank you.
All right. So that is one of the comments we are getting as well. Very interesting ones coming in. Hi, Gary. Kofi Entry again from Washington, D.C. He says that, remember, German Remember the Germany referee who was jailed for 2 years and 5 months for fixing matches? Yes, I do. So my quest is, those referees caught on camera taking the money, what are they going to do to them? I think they should jail all of them the same 2 years in prison with hard labor. Well, the thing is that because they are in different jurisdictions, you know, you can't. The law is a bit different where it happens here. Like Selassie Adika says.
Are we really committed to the rule of law?
Like Selassie Adika says.
All these referees that were seen on video
Yeah.
taking money should have gone through some form of prosecution, probably.
Well, that's another matter for another day, I guess. It will be difficult for a Ghanaian to get to where Nyantichi got to in the next 2 centuries. This is a comment from Justice Rock and Pram Pram. He goes on to say, till his disgraceful footprint fades down a bit. And anyone thriving on this journey must eschew stains of greed in all style and personal aggrandizement. Today, my commenters are giving us a lot of English.
We do have some in
Yes.
there. Justice Anin is in there, and it's a big shot.
Yeah, he's
the chairman of the disciplinary committee of
Yes,
FIFA.
that
FIFA,
is huge.
That's huge. I mean,
That, in my estimation, is bigger than where Kwesi Nyantakyi got to, because he
but
will power.
how does he influence policy on? And that's the
No,
the
in terms
contest
of
with-
giving Ghana glory,
Oh,
he's in
yes,
there.
fine. But my question is, how do we get somebody to Kwesi Nyantakyi's level to an extent that the person can influence policy in our favor? Because we know, especially the North Africans, they are very good at it. Once their people get there, they make sure that everything comes to
is
them.
in there.
I've said Tony is there.
Tony Bafu is already there.
At the risk of sounding
Tony is
pessimistic,
there.
Tony is a very, and I don't say that Kwesi Nyantakyi was unfair negatively or positively to Ghana's interest. But Tony Bafu comes across as a very
straight
person. I mean, he's not going to do anything to
corners and all that.
cut
And you
corners
think
to
he can now
inure
win
to the
elections?
benefit of Ghana. You understand what I'm
He won't
saying?
be able to even win elections.
Who? Tony Bafu?
Yes.
Oh, I
Because
think
in order
he
to
can.
get to that level, you need to win some elections.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that
you are
entails
saying
some
because-
ruthlessness.
Yes, it's because
And some
Tony
backhanded-
is straight.
Yes.
He may not be able to win elections.
Yeah, you see, I
Then
don't want to say that
we
obvious.
are not sincere, all of us.
So you see,
Augustine,
he can still
Augustine.
rise. You see, you don't have to be crooked to rise.
Yes.
He can still rise to his level. It doesn't have to be a FIFA council member.
But how does
Don't
Ghana
forget
benefit
already,
from all
the
those things?
Justice Anin thing is huge, and it happened during the tenure of Kwesi Nyantakyi. You see, so if you want to give Kwesi Nyantakyi pluses, you can even cite Justice Anin Yeboah as one of the pluses
Gary,
of Kwesi Nyantakyi. It doesn't have to be a FIFA council member. There are others that we still have Justice Anin in there. We have Tony Bafu. Well, even Sani, our brother Sani,
He's still
there.
a part of CAF, the media.
He's
the
in
media
there. I mean, he
responsible.
has issues on the side, but he's there,
Yeah.
and we can have more.
You see, but let's not
But is George
forget
still there?
George.
The free?
George is
Yes, he's
George is there.
Because
still
he's a member of the
Yeah,
CAF
he's still
Farm
there.
committee. There.
Yeah.
So
the
the question
competition-
is, we are all saying, and that's
And
that's
Alhaji
why I
Daula
asked
is
you,
there.
that's why I asked you the first question I did. Was it his loss to have dropped or not? And you
I
say
think it's already been answered.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So how do all these people get there for us to benefit?
In their see, as the position of the FA president, Wafu, first CAF, and all that, he was better placed symbolically to represent Ghana's interests. However, he was not so inclined.
But he brought Wafu. He brought Wafu here.
Which Wafu?
Wafu, the Wafu B,
You mean
zombie.
the one that got the referees into trouble?
Oh, I see.
What are you talking about? So I thought you were going to help Kwesi Nyantakyi's cause.
So you mean-
now you're now rather hurting his cause.
You mean
the Wafu that got most of the referees into trouble?
so? It was one step forward, two step backwards.
Yeah, with the Kenyan referee that got into trouble, got life banned. There are other referees too that got banned for life by CAF because of the Wafu thing. Don't forget, CAF has already banned some Ghanaian referees for life.
Yes.
10 years and all that. Some of which resulted from this same Wafu you're talking about. I thought it's something you wouldn't even bring up if you want to help his cause in terms of his legacy. No.
Gary, I think we should be sincere to ourselves going forward. Like I did say on a program yesterday, a Muslim friend of mine, I told him, Baba, the world is not fair. He told me, don't ever say that because God will be angry with you.
I see.
The world is fair. God created the world fairly. But we, the people in the world, are not fair. And it's true. Because if Tony cannot win elections because he is straight, then we are not sincere.
As for elections, listen,
We
all
are
over
not
the world,
sincere.
all over the world.
So
if
the
you
world-
don't have money,
We are not fair.
and you don't have people with money backing you, you can never win.
Sure.
Everywhere in the world,
Sure.
it happens. So, but Tony Bafu may not be as
Ruthless.
No, as ambitious as Kwesi was.
I wanted to use the word ambitious, but you see, ambition can be fueled by straight and narrow.
Yeah, but I'm talking about to the degree that, you know, in the case of Kwesi Nyantakyi, he could have been FIFA president.
He could have.
What if Tony is content with whatever he has, and he does not want to? Not because Ghana wants him to, so he should cut corners here and there. Maybe he doesn't want to go as far, or he's content with what he's doing in Ghana here for our footballers,
professional footballers,
and brooding, you know, fellow, because he founded the Professional Footballers Association of Ghana, presided over by Kwesi Appiah. He founded it's Tony Bafu. So maybe these are some of the legacies he wants to leave. You don't know. But it doesn't necessarily have to be him.
Right. Comments are still coming in. This one is from Chicago. Today we are getting a lot of comments from the USO. American people, what's up? My name is Kwesi Bri from Chicago. He says, "Hi Gary, please allow Eko Asma to make his points. I like him. He says it as it is. I don't think Eko finished his submissions on how Nyantakyi caused his own downfall." Oh, Eko spoke for about 10 minutes on that at the beginning. Yes.
Yeah, you sure?
Oh, yes, you
Probably
did.
1 minute.
I can remind you of what you said. Yes.
I go with him. I side with him.
So I should give you time to explain how.
Yes.
I think you did. I think you made a point that he went there and he did it for his own good, and he
didn't finish. I thought.
Really?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think because I think they didn't get messages. The hierarchy don't get the messages right. It's like lost in translation. When you say, "Oh, go get us the bouquet," they think you're talking about buffet. So let's eat and eat and eat and eat. You know, that was it for them. Instead of being a patriot, they turn themselves into traders, putting their personal gain ahead of national interest. That's the thing that bugs me. People at the helm of affairs, thinking about national interest, always sacrifice national interest for their personal gain.
Right.
How can we support such people? No.
From Chachu, this is from Chachu. He says, "Gary, who puts the executive arm of government there? It's us. Who can remove them after 4 years? It is us."
Yeah, but in the course of the 4 years, what can we do?
It is us, so we could have pressured them to act. I disagree with the call. We, the citizens, could have placed pressure based on our displeasure. We, the people, are the government. Power always emanates from us and is delegated to leaders. If 5 million citizens storm the GFA today, do you think the normalization committee can work? We, the people, are powerful. I disagree with you, Chachu, because the football people always tell us that
That's what I'm saying.
when they go to Congress, it is
not
not you and I who vote.
Yeah, it's the Congress.
It is the, how many are there? 123.
Yeah.
It's
They
a
even
massive
wanted
threat.
to be stretched
So
to 137. Can you imagine?
look, 20 million people can march to the GFA right now.
That's
If
what
they are having
happened.
elections, nothing can happen.
It's against the ethics of FIFA.
Even the
rules of FIFA.
yes. So as for that, I agree with the larger points you are making, that within the context of Ghanaian law, when we see that somebody is becoming unbecoming, we can enact legislation here and there to check.
It's not in our DNA.
Yes.
It's not in the DNA of the people of Ghana.
And we have to
right
start
next door,
putting
look,
it.
right next door in Burkina Faso, the civilian population drove away a military government.
Yeah.
The civilian, right next door.
Yeah.
It's not in our DNA.
Yeah.
So I get his point, but it's not in the DNA of the people of Ghana, especially those of us here. Where did he contribute from?
Right. Akosia Yeboah sends in a message. She says, "Hello, Gary. I don't believe that Tony is not as ambitious as Eko says. It may be that he is honest and has integrity, and he will rather win fairly.
That's right.
Being
That's
ruthless is not bad, but he must be fair in so doing." Well, the word ruthless itself has certain connotations.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree with the person. I'm just saying
Akosia,
that
yeah.
Tony doesn't have. Yeah, I agree with Akosia. Tony doesn't have to be the FIFA president. He doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
But in the case of Kwesi
To make
Nyantakyi,
an impact for us.
yeah, in the case of Kwesi Nyantakyi, it was clear that he had expertise in elections. He kept winning
He
everywhere.
was an election contractor.
He's an expert.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he can go into consultancy in how to win elections.
Yeah. And we'll come to that, Eko. I mean,
So he could have been FIFA president.
this will be
definitely.
This will be barroom chats, and we may be delving into the area of things that are unsubstantiated, but let's exercise our discretion in doing so.
Yeah.
In the last 5 months, Augustine, you're also a football person. Do you think that some of the things that have happened even after Kwesi Nyantakyi got into trouble, for example, the FIFA ban that we avoided? I mean, there were whispers in the corridors of power that we still went to the same Kwesi Nyantakyi to help us out.
We don't know that part.
That's what I'm. Eko, I promise my statement with.
The cricket will spread to you.
Yes, you understand. We hear things that even in this period when he has been in trouble, the government, and we've still gone to him because he's a powerful man. He has
I
four
have
numbers.
reason to disbelieve it.
Okay, so my question to you is that can we utilize Kwesi Nyantakyi's expertise, despite the fact that he may not be able to come back to football in the classic sense? Can we utilize his expertise in any way?
You mean the state cutting a deal with him so that he will not be put before court?
Oh, no.
What he knows about
what he knows about the game, because he's a treasure trove of knowledge.
I asked that question on purpose because there's this perception that the state is trying to shield Kwesi Nyantakyi from prosecution and has so far not even received any docket, even though the criminal investigation department of police have concluded their investigation.
And they have forwarded it to...
We don't know if they have forwarded it.
No, I'm telling you on authority that they forwarded
That's what
it.
they've said.
But I don't remember them saying that because
No,
I heard
Echo.
Hajide 2 days or 3 days ago.
Yes.
Saying that they are in the process.
I'm telling you they have forwarded it.
Well, I don't know. I can't take that.
As the host of the show, I am telling you.
Well, I can take it from you as the authority on this particular subject.
No problem.
It may have happened, but we don't know for a fact.
Please make your point.
So I'm saying, because of that perception, it brings to light this question you're asking. So should we cut a deal with him so that we get some
I'm not
benefit
saying we
from
should
him?
cut a deal. I'm saying,
can we rely on him?
assuming, and this is not to prejudice anything, assuming he's even prosecuted and goes to jail, for example. Look, his football brain. How can we utilize his football brain? Forget whether he gets
Who's the
prosecuted. Ghana. His football brain at the international level or at the local level to groom the next
At
generation.
the local level, what did he do for Ghana?
So we can't use him in any way.
Tell me, based upon which we will seek the expertise.
He knows
He ran the football, the local league, the domestic.
It does not stop the fact that he knows the Ghanaian.
And he couldn't do it?
The Ghanaian statutes more than any. No, it was actually because he knew the law inside out that he was able to do what he did.
So
do you understand what I'm saying?
But I'm saying, what does that
no,
tell
Augustine,
you?
you understand what I'm saying?
The person?
No, his motives.
Domestically, we can now use his expertise. We don't want that kind
I
of
want to challenge your opinion on this.
Because it's like saying that somebody is so good at stealing that the person is an expert. So should we go to see that person and find out how we can steal? It's also expertise.
No, not.
We don't want that kind of expertise.
Echo, I'm going to challenge you, but right now I have
Please
somebody
do,
on the
please
line
do,
who wants to make an input. We are 29 minutes to the top of the hour on the Joy 99.7 FM. Papa Chris from Kaswa sends a comment before we go onto the phone line. He says, Kwesi's demise is simple greed. It will happen to all political leaders who do worse things while in office. And that is a comment from Papa Chris in Kaswa. Samir Enchi is the head of sports for the Multimedia Group and he's on the line. Thank you very much for joining us, boss.
Thank you, Gary. Good afternoon to Info, Echo, and the female listeners we are having.
Yeah.
Forgive me, I want us to backtrack a bit and focus on this issue of having a Ghanaian at the helm of affairs or at higher levels with CAF, FIFA, and the influence or the benefit to us as Ghanaians. Is it not the case that, technically speaking, when you have or people are put in the positions to influence policy, and in the case of CAF, for instance, develop the game in Africa, and not technically for the member countries the individual members come from, so that if we now have a handful, don't forget, before Kwesi Nyantakyi, Wolanyo Agra, Alhaji Jawola were all there, but as a country, Ghana, to be specific, how did we benefit? And indeed, the time we qualified for all 3 World Cups, or if you like, the first in Germany and then in South Africa, we didn't have Kwesi Nyantakyi with CAF at the topmost point. You understand?
Yeah.
And at the level where he got there, rather, we are finding it difficult playing or achieving the higher level of results we want to get.
Great point.
So my thinking is, technically speaking, or realistically, people are put at higher positions not to kind of push our agenda as a country specific, but to help bring the ideas and knowledge to develop the game and in
globally,
Africa,
the global game.
Africa.
Yes.
You understand? So I think we should develop the thought well and not make it a case of, because Kofi Annan was at UN, yes, for how many years? Can we list specific benefits to country Ghana? when you are there, the structures are there. You need to work.
No, but yes, I understand what you are saying, Mr. Samir Enchi. However, there's no gainsaying the fact that, you see, for example, Issa Hayatou managed to, that is what lobbying is about, so when you have an MP in parliament or an MP in a key ministerial portfolio, or you have certain people in certain positions, that's what lobbying is about. Issa Hayatou was able to bring Africa's soccer center of excellence to Cameroon because he was able to lobby because he was there. Those are the kinds of things I'm saying.
So, fair point, but our comments or our criticisms about Issa Hayatou, you understand? So that, if you like, policies that should have affected the whole of Africa and developed the game were given to Cameroon because he was a Cameroonian. It's not something we expect.
And this is to issue a disclaimer here to all listeners. I am not condoning nepotism. I'm not saying that a Ghanaian should be there
you know what Ahimfo said about his friend saying that it's the people who are not fair,
yes,
not God who is not fair.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
And yes, people is lobbying. And in fact, look at what is happening, the write-up from Germany on Infantino and all that.
Yeah.
People have said, and I'm tempted to believe over my long, if you like, stay in the industry, that the game we are in is full of such attitudes. You understand? People will always want to cut corners, which in the larger picture is not good for us. But, well, it happens. So I thought we should set our minds on this issue of getting a Ghanaian there. Yes, one opportunity presents itself. Well, you could make an input and then and get something for us. The North Africans we know have occupied cap positions all these years. And the work they've not been able. Every now and then, yes, they've dominated Africa and all that. But we'll see how it goes.
Thank you very much.
We find ourselves where we find ourselves, brother.
Yeah, thank you, Samir Enchi. I think it's a good time to open the phone lines as well as we get into this discussion. The WhatsApp lines are getting hot. Daniel Dazi, the Super Morning Show host, has sent in a message. He says, ECHO cannot nail the corruption of the referees on the WAFU tournament itself. No philosophy is judged by its abusers. Hey, thank you. I wanted the English, but I didn't find the English. Thank you, Daniel Dazi. You understand what he's saying? I am saying that Kwesi Nyantakyi helped to lobby to bring the WAFU tournament here by getting that deal with Fox Sports. What happened, and then the referees and the corruption, that one, it wasn't him.
But do you know for a fact?
We know for you two. Do you know for a fact that it was Nyantakyi who did it?
Okay,
Today
so
I'm challenging you. Did Anas show in the video that it was Nyantakyi who said it?
Have you seen the entirety of that episode? The WAFU clip. Have you seen it?
I have seen it. Did you see Nyantakyi's name there?
No, have you seen that?
I have seen it. I have seen it.
Gary,
so don't take Kwesi Nyantakyi's glory from me.
Gary, I think we have the evidence is that CAF banned those referees.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
But I'm saying that one of the things that he did well was to bring WAFU to Ghana for it to be hosted here. And it was beautiful. It was nice.
Gary, like
what about the domestic league?
That's one he did.
Like Samir Enchi said.
Yes, go on.
I think we need to chart a new course.
Sure.
We don't necessarily have to put a Ghanaian to FIFA or to CAF for us to change our mindset.
Sure.
That's what I would say.
Right. Kofi from Medina, you are my first caller as we open the phone lines. I didn't even announce the phone lines, but 0302-216-541, 0302-216-541. This is the Joy Sports link. Hello, Kofi. Yes, good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Yeah. How are you doing, Gary?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good show. I mean, and I'm grateful today. You are the one in the seat. You're doing so well. Now, the caller called previously, is it Irenchi, says that there's no specific benefit to Ghana when people rise to that level. Even if you talk about branding alone is something that you can't even quantify. So if you have a Ghanaian at the top level when it comes to FIFA, the UN, I mean, people get to know Ghana. There are tourists who will come because of that exposure, so you can't quantify. So you can't say that because the man has fallen, then therefore there's absolutely no benefit. There are benefits if the Ghanaian is there. Number two, the Bible says that a man's enemies shall be members of his own household. Now, you see what's happening to Kwesi Nyantakyi now? He has gone to join forces with the NPP. Fine. I mean, if you are in football, there's good reason why you should never do politics, but that is not the case in Ghana. You have football officials
openly aligned to political parties, which is bad. So why wouldn't we fight some of these things? If we don't fight it, then the person carries it to another level. And I also blame FIFA for that, because the white paper in 2014, should the previous government act, or even this government act on it, FIFA is going to come after Ghana. Remember what the Ghana wanted to act. If you can play back, you realize that Kofi Nyantakyi wrote, or he's the communication director, they wrote to FIFA, and FIFA had the response that Ghana should take its hands off football. Otherwise, the country was going to be banned. So I think the discussion also ought to go towards that direction.
Right, Kofi, thank you.
FIFA that has made it possible for its officials to be massively corrupt. Because once you want to delve into it, they say, we are going to ban you. And it happens in so many countries, like Nigeria was taken off, other countries were taken off FIFA because they wanted to scrutinize football.
All right, Kofi, before I come to Eben in Kaswa, I just want to make a point. Every president in Ghana's history has been involved in football at a point. Every single one of our presidents. And there are many reasons for that I take time to. Football is a game of numbers. And because politics is a game of numbers, it's one of the easiest ways to amass that following. So you get into football, you win the heart of the people, it's easy to translate into football. So I understand when you say that football authorities, football politicians, or football administrators should not be involved in politics, but it's very difficult.
No, but I mean, if this is the way that we ought to go, because I think that football is supposed to be something that unifies the country. If the Black Stars are playing,
that's in theory.
People don't care about whether it's MPP or NDC or tribe, whether Christian Achu is from the Volta region or Kofi Nyantakyi is from the North region.
Let's go to Kofi. Thank you very much. You've spoken for about 3 minutes. Eben in Kaswa, airtime will be going. Eben, thank you very much for joining us on the Joy Sports Link.
Good afternoon, guys.
Thank you for your patience.
Good afternoon to your panelists as well. I think they are really educating us. I think this is a point I would like to make. First of all, Kofi Nyantakyi is a victim of a bastardized system. You see, the football system in which he finds himself itself. I mean, I don't know of Uncle Ben Kofi, but his predecessors, there are stories about them. And it's just that it is his that came to light. And some of the people around him as well, they don't have clean hands. But this is what I'll say. If you leave people to their conscience, you can't expect them to do what's right. So the laws should be enforced. And I think we've been given a clear opportunity. Instead of looking at it as a distraction or a setback, I see it as an opportunity, because now we have the clear opportunity now to start from the basis again, and on benefit of hindsight, see what happened to someone and then know where to go. I mean, it doesn't mean that people will be perfect, but at least people will be careful. The blatancy would go away. I remember one time on GTV when you and Sani Dara had some exchanges which had to do with Black Stars sponsorship money. You see, these were some of the people who should have listened to understand. But he was listening to respond. And that was their posture. Nobody can come in here. You remember one time Bank of Ghana people bought watches for 15,000?
I remember.
Something like that.
As their ex-gratia.
It was a national issue.
Yeah.
You get me? But these GFA people, how much did they give themselves for ex-gratia? And some of them, isn't ex-gratia supposed to mean that when you are going out of tenor, this is what you get? The person takes ex-gratia and he's back again. You understand me? So I think it's a perfect example.
Thank you very much, Eben from Kaswa. We appreciate your call. Nene from Dansoman, thank you for joining us on the Joy Sports Link.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Good afternoon, brother.
Okay. First of all, Gary, I beg you in the name of God.
Sure.
This Australia visa scandal, it's as if the whole country have just gone silent on it. The government claims there's a report. Nobody knows what's in the report. Ministers have been changed. And that's it. I'm begging you. Can you guys just take it up? If some crime was committed, if you are saying that those people have been cleared, then who were those who committed that crime? We need to know as a country, because it's an embarrassment to the country that we'll do these things, it will come into the international news, then we just sleep on it. That's my first. My second point on that is those who are saying he has done something for Ghana football. What has he done for Ghana football? Because he took us to the World Cup. Yes, because that is where they will make the money. The Black Stars that they took us to the World Cup, that's why they come and tell us coefficient calculation of money. What is the status of juvenile football in Ghana?
I'm telling you, that is.
What is the status of juvenile the coast the how do you call it women's football? What is the state of it as at now? So what positive has it brought to Ghana football?
Thank you.
Thank you. Lukman, I'll come to you from Teshi, but interesting comment from Jerry Modi, who works with us here at Multimedia. He says that the Nyantechi issue reminds me of the Peter Principle, and he says the Peter Principle is a concept which observes that people in a hierarchy tend to rise to their level of incompetence. And he explains further that the Peter Principle is an observation that the tendency in most organizational hierarchies is such that for every employee to rise in the hierarchy through promotion until they reach the levels of their respective incompetence. Essentially, you rise to the level of your knowledge. When your knowledge is finished, you become incompetent. You rise down there, you drop. So if you know 3/10, you can't rise greater than 3/10. Yeah, very interesting. Lukman from Teshi.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
And good afternoon to your resource person.
Sure.
I think FIFA is not being fair to Kwesi Nyantakyi. It is too harsh to ban him for life.
Why?
You know, they didn't take the country that he's coming from into consideration because bribery and corruption in Ghana is normal. So if they take it into consideration, they would have at least 1 year or 5 years would have been enough. But here in Ghana,
Lukman, please.
It's been legalized.
Please repeat that. We need to hear that again. Repeat.
Yes, what I'm saying is that bribery and corruption is normal in Ghana. It's been legalized in Ghana. So if they take that into consideration, they would have banned him for life. At least 1 year or 2 years would have been enough. The life ban is too harsh.
Lukman,
I'm praying that he should appeal. I hope and pray that when he appeals, the sentence will be reduced to more minimum.
Lukman, please don't go, please. Are you there?
Okay. Yes, I'm still there.
Please, do you have a child? Do you have children?
Yes, I do have.
How many children?
I have 3.
Please, if I put your children on the line right now, can you say what you just said, that bribery and corruption is normal? So you tell your children that they should accept it. That is the Ghana you want them to inherit. Can you tell them that?
No, that is not what I want Ghana to be, but that is how it is.
So they should leave it. So they should leave it like that.
Who can tell me that he or she has never been taken bribe before or given bribe before? Here in Ghana, I don't think you get about 100 people here in Ghana.
But you see, okay, unfortunately, we are talking about FIFA. This is not Ghana. So, assuming you are right, you are right.
Yes, yeah.
He is a member of FIFA with their rules. The FIFA rules don't allow, for them, bribery is not normal. Let's take it that way. If it is normal in Ghana, FIFA rules is not normal. Do you understand?
Yes, I do understand that.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Lukman. Fred from Adenta. Lukman, I just got a comment from Mayan Ture who says that Alomo too short for you. For that comment.
Oh my God.
Fred from Adenta.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Gary. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, this is Fred Omniquest.
Oh, yeah, Fred Amwa.
Yeah.
What up?
I'm good. My greetings to Ecowas.
Yeah, former head of sports, Joy Sports. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I must say that I agree with what Ecowas said about the issue of people thinking that the Nyantakyi's loss is our loss. One, you can look at it from 2 points, and I think people misunderstood where Echo was coming from. Nyantakyi is an individual, and for all the positions that he occupied in local and international football, yes, the image that he garnered for Ghana football was a given. But when it comes to the kind of things that he did that led to this, it is his personal fault. I don't think it affects Ghana. You guys are talking about other people who may rise to that position. They go there, and I think that's what Sami called about. When you go there and you are in that position, you don't go there to do things for Ghana. You go there to work as part of a team promoting international football. It is not about local football when you get there. Of course, some of those things may ripple down principally because if you are there and something has to be done, you have the knowledge, the pre-knowledge. You can quickly have it implemented in your country. Right? All these things, we are forgetting about one thing, the image of Ghana football and how it even affects sponsorship. You know what I do? So my major concern is how the brand football in Ghana has been damaged.
Yeah.
Corporate Ghana is watching, but nobody seems to be addressing that side of the issue. I'm sure that if you start talking to corporate institutions who have sponsored football in the past, they will give you their perspective. That's very, very key. Now football gets back on its feet. It's normalized. Who is going to put that money in there?
That's true.
You understand? And for me, the normalization committee is formation. There should have been, even if it's ex officio after they have been formed, somebody from Ghana football, at least Gaka is there. Somebody should have been co-opted. So there are certain decisions that they take, certain things that they do, right? The issue, there are things that I don't want to talk because of certain privileged position and information that I have, right? But I think Gaka should be deeply involved in the things that are happening. I think they are yet to submit their, I think they did something on the statute.
They have submitted it.
Impact on it, yes.
Yeah,
it's very important for me. Is the image and how it affects the branding and how it affects corporate investments in football.
Right.
And then just one quick thing. I was hoping that somebody also be talking about how sponsors would get some tax rebates and all those things when they invest. That thing is there, but nobody is chasing it.
So I think that it's a discussion we can have later on.
Yes.
We've had the discussion about 4 weeks ago about the normalization committee. We dedicated 2 shows to it, and we mentioned that one of the things that they should be pushing for is to liaise with government so that companies that put money to some extent in football will get some tax rebates and all that. So we've dealt with that previously already.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge across the world. And that.
Thank you, Fred.
Yes, I mean,
we appreciate
thank
your
you
call.
very much.
Yeah. More comments coming in, and a call from Kweku in New Ningo. Kweku, please stay on the line. This is a comment from Samson Ladi, the host of Newsfile. This is for you, Asma. You are disputing. He tells me that Kwesi Nyantakyi played a role for us to escape the FIFA ban. No, we are telling you.
But I'm not disputing him. I just don't know for a fact.
I said we are telling you. Do you dispute?
But I can't take your word.
So whose word would you take?
But I have to see it as a fact.
So you want Kwesi Nyantakyi to come himself and tell him that he was involved?
Samson should have been clear.
If I see something,
well, he has sent a text message now.
He played a role. What role?
Yeah, but I'm saying, Gary, I don't dispute Samson.
Yes.
I don't dispute you.
Yes.
But I'm saying I don't know it for a fact.
So you want FIFA to come and tell you that Nyantakyi was involved before?
Black and white. Then I know for a fact.
But our work as journalists is to have information from the background and come and tell people. So if we are telling ourselves,
am I alien to this work you're talking about?
That's what I'm saying. Anyway,
I don't know for a fact.
So
I can't say it's true. What up, Samson?
No, bro. Anyway, 0244340437. Our WhatsApp line is blowing up. Yes, Kweku from New Ningo. I'll read your comments. But good afternoon.
Yeah, Guy. Good afternoon.
What's up?
Yeah, cool things. Yeah, Guy. Please, did you say there was this report from a committee that suggested that all the 3 times that Ghana qualified to the World Cup, it was because Ghana influenced some referees. That is why we were able to call it. Is this a matter of fact or what?
Not all the 3 World Cups, but at least one.
The first one.
Yes.
Wow. But at least.
And Kweku.
Yeah, Gary.
So there's one on paper that said so. Now, Osei Kweku Palmer, the ex-co-member, mentioned when we failed to qualify for this recent World Cup that we didn't qualify. Yes, he said we didn't qualify because we didn't pay referees, and that there wasn't help from the government for us to help to pay referees.
Yes. So according to Palmer, all the 3 that we qualified.
No, he didn't say all the 3. I'm just being careful here.
No. If you deduce from what he said, because
then you are deducing. You can deduce alone. You can deduce alone.
I can deduce alone.
Yes, you're on your own. You're on your own.
Let's please give credit where credit is due. Okay, Kwesi has done something for Ghana. We cannot say he's done nothing. Please, because it's unfortunate this thing happened. Hello.
Yes, we are here. We are listening.
Yeah. So please, what my brother Lukman said. Most of us, I give you tell you, we are all being hypocrites. But if you go to FIFA, yes, they are about corruption. But Ghana, we also about corruption and bribery, don't we?
Right. Thank you very much. You know, Kweku, I'll finish with your submission. In Presec, what our senior housemaster told us at our orientation, that when he read all the rules for us, he said the last one is "Thou shalt not be caught."
You can do your stuff.
So don't do it.
Kweku, are you there? Okay. Thou shalt not be caught. So, if you are caught, then that's a different thing. Sammy from Adenta, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
What's up, man?
Guy, look, I think Kwesi brought this on himself. I mean, at one point, the guy should have stepped up easily and just walk away. He made so much money from Ghana and GSU. But this is the thing. When we agreed, it keep getting greed and greed and greed. What happens to standing behind the rest? What is the verdict? Are they also suspended for life? I need to know what happens to that. I think they should all just be put aside.
Anas, so what it is that Anas petitioned FIFA on Kwesi Nyantakyi alone. He didn't petition on the others. So FIFA is not talking about the others.
But then the others were caught in the tape, and they were FIFA officials. FIFA should be to say something about it. Was given to them.
No, you see, the way FIFA works, just to explain, FIFA they are not like some police. They won't come into our jurisdiction and come and do something that we have not asked them to do. Do you understand?
Okay.
Yes, so that is how they work. So, just to give you some information, Ibrahim Sani Dara had some issue about money laundering that was, it corrects me if I'm wrong, but he took it to, he's contesting it in court. He's contesting it in court. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So that is
all
it.
right.
Thank you very much. So Kofi from Kotobabi. Hi, Kofi.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Joy Sports Link.
Okay, I just want to make a small contribution to your program. When I think the last two callers, I think you said your former Joy Sports head of Joy Sports or something.
Yeah.
He made a point that the football brand has been destroyed to a point that we need to talk to corporate bodies to understand and come and sponsor. Look, any corporate body who knows the value of football or the value they get from football will say that Kwesi Nyantakyi has done this. The game has thrown into disrepute, so because of that they will sponsor. I don't think so. I mean, look at global companies like Nike and Co. that sponsor global tournaments. Every time we have that there are some underhand dealings that goes into whether it's IOC, whether it's the FIFA is
corrupt and all that.
Or something. The underhand dealings go, but every year the same global companies are there to sponsor or to do something to get it right. You understand? So it's not about if some underhand delay or some corrupt practices have gone on and companies will decide that because of that we are not going to sponsor. Then you, the company, you are not worth your salt. There's no way MTN will say that, because there's some Kwesi Nyantakyi has done something, the name of the game has been brought to disrepute, so they will sponsor FA Cup or they have nothing to do with football in Ghana.
Kofi,
they don't see them.
Kofi. Hello, Kofi. He's gone. Okay. Just a quick point I want to raise. I agree with what you are saying, that if somebody wants to sponsor football, I mean, especially because the old administration is gone, they will sponsor football. However, you see, the way multinationals work, it's not that straightforward. If, for example, you mentioned MTN. If I am MTN Group headquarters, I'll say that MTN Ghana do not sponsor anything in Ghana football until we are sure that the brand we are associating with is clean. All the rot and all the bad press is gone. Do you understand what I'm saying? Echo, am I lying? That is what I think.
In the
that
case of MTN, they sponsored the knockout,
yes,
the FA Cup,
yes,
not the league.
That's the point.
And the FA Cup was
never had any issues.
No, there were no issues. The clean image and they milked the mileage.
Yeah. So Kofi, that is what I think.
Not to sponsor the league because of its image.
Yeah.
But the MTN FA Cup was without all of this fraud and all the
So Kofi, that's what I think that Fred meant by the image issues. That you see, it doesn't have to be tangible. Sometimes people's perception alone is what is going to hurt us. Because yesterday, I mean, somebody was telling me at home that they don't even want, even if they have money and you give them tickets for free, they won't go and watch Ghana football. That is the point we want to get to. That when you give somebody tickets for free, they will say, "Oh, because I want to go to the stadium
to watch stars."
Yes,
and we have scars instead of stars.
Edward, you are our last caller. I'm told by my producer. Thank you very much for calling us.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you. I've enjoyed the discussion so far.
Thank you.
I think one thing I just want to bring to light is that I'm sure we all would admit that Kwesi was an institution. He transitioned or transited from an individual to become an institution. Now that he's exited, what is the legacy that he's left, and how are we going to use that to build the next institution? I think these things are very important. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I think that's a good way for us to finish the show today. It's been an interesting comment. Yes, it's 2 minutes to the end of the show, so I'll give you 30 seconds each. Echo is asking if we will ask for closing remarks. So Echo, 30 seconds for you.
I think it's important though to note and to point it out, that the role of the politicians in all of this. Because if you have politicians in bed with FA hierarchy that are running down the game, then you cannot blame the FA hierarchy alone.
Yeah,
it's important, and it's our job as media folk to not sell out. It's part of the problem. The sports media, in my estimation, is at the bottom of journalism in Ghana here.
Yeah.
It's part of the problems. We see some of these things, and we look the other way because of, in some cases, mercenary activity.
Sure.
So we also have to own up to our part of the responsibility. I'm talking about sports journalists.
Yeah.
And it's been infiltrated by folks that are not really sports journalists, not really trained,
or maybe journalists but have decided to be mercenaries. Yes.
And it's for some of us that are upstanding, it should be our duty to expose such people too.
Yeah, sure. Augustine,
I'll use my last 30 seconds to wish the Deputy Minister of Communication all the best of luck.
Oh, Mr. George Anda.
Yeah, because I heard he was involved in an accident.
Yes.
And that area, I think we should look at it critically. Between the Kaswa and the Budumburan area.
Chairman, the whole country is a whole Owari. Yeah. The roads in Ghana is Owari. So don't leave some place and come and do some place.
Yeah, because
let's not die.
The tracks in that
I know.
And I understand he had a collision.
A collision with Evans Spencer is here to give us the news at 2, so you have further detail on that. Echo Asma, thank you for a bombastic show. Augustine Info normally provides us with a bit of quietness as well. Echo gives us the fire, and Augustine Info gives us the ice. Me, I'm just a facilitator. My name is Gary Al Smith. Thank you for your custom. Nathaniel Ato will be back next week. Bye bye.